afternoon, whenever you're watching this from. So this is a bit of a new thing we're doing. I'm calling it Tech Tuesday because alliteration just cracks me up every time. And I have a very good friend and actually a family member, Joey Frangioni, on here. And Joey has his ear to the ground on tech stuff a lot more than me. I realized that because after 10 seconds of talking to him, I was like, yeah. So I know what's going on with the money world and I keep up with that. And I think that's a lot of fun. But we always joke in our family, we're like, if there's a new product that's coming out, the Frangionis are going to have it before anyone else, and they're going to be the ones writing the reviews before anyone else. Like they always have the newest stuff. So, Joey, I'm really glad you're here right now. We did a little bit of talking earlier, and I was sitting there, and I knew this was a good idea because we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, oh my god, we should be. Why aren't we recording this? There's already 4 things. The question I asked you was, are there any crazy new products that came out recently? Because I think like a weekly recap of stuff that comes out, because everything moves so flippin' quickly these days, is really important. And the ones that you listed were the microchips and the new Ford Bronco, which I think is interesting. I want to pick your brain on the new Lightning too, because I am in love. I think it's just terrific that the way they handled it was great. And the Apple glasses with the VR headset. So what are the Apple glasses?
All right, yeah, hey, thank you for the introduction. I'm happy to be here and appreciate you having me on for these Tech Tuesdays. Definitely, the Apple glasses is a product I've had my eye on for quite some time now, being that I wear glasses, on a regular basis, daily basis.
Right.
And I'm also a fan of sunglasses as well. I have the Bose audio, augmented reality sunglasses, and those are pretty neat. But the Apple glasses are going to they can be prescription or not prescription, have you. And, they're just a neat product that kind of combined Apple's iOS operating software in their interface into glasses. So there's only speculation on what their full capability will be right now. Some of the speculation involves if you're wearing them while you're driving, it could help you with your GPS and actually lay out the route in front of you.
And I just can't escape my phone. Like there's no way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the possibilities are endless, but right now I think just on the ground level, most of it is going to rely on Siri and how you can use your voice to interact with her, and then they could really take it as far as they want to go with it.
Do you use Siri a lot?
I do not use Siri a lot personally. I'm typically not big into even the Amazon Alexa or the Siri or the Microsoft Cortana. I don't know. What are your thoughts on kind of those voice personal assistants?
So you're gonna love this. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I never used Siri in my life. So my senior broker is 66 now, and he's like the most open-minded dude I've ever met. But he put me on Siri, and he's 3 times my age. So we're like, as we're driving around meeting clients, doing all this work, and he can't use his phone while driving because he just can't. Like he's like, my fingers don't work that way. So he just talks to his phone. He's like, hey Siri, do this. Hey Siri, do that. Hey Siri, do. And like I was like, I have not been using this to its full capability. So I remember when it first came out, it was kind of useless. Like all it could do is basically tell you your name, and it might be able to make a call, but it really wouldn't hear you. I send text through Siri while I'm driving now. It's awesome. Like I'll be like, hey, send text to blah blah blah. Hey dude, I'll be late, and she picks it up and sends it. And I'm like, why are we so late on this? This is actually really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one area that I wish I used more as the technology has improved. I've just never gotten much into it. I will say I use it when I am driving. I'll use it if I need to call someone or if I need to change a song on my playlist on Spotify. I'll use Siri to
if it works on Spotify, I'm going to abuse the heck out of it. I didn't know. I've tried to use it with Spotify and it never works. I tell it to do things and it can't do it, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be telling it.
Yep. Yeah. The key is after you ask it to play a song, you have to. So I'll say hey Siri, play "Under the Bridge" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers on Spotify.
It's a great song.
And then it will play it.
So I've done that and she doesn't do it. So they must just not like me. Well. Hold on. Do you thank Siri after you use her?
I do not.
I always do. It's every time I'm like, hey, do this. Thank you.
I suppose I could maybe treat her a little bit nicer. But
I don't think it records it or means anything. It just it's the thought, It really is.
Exactly. But to go along with the Apple glasses, like you had mentioned, Apple's actually coming out with a VR headset of their own, and they're saying it's supposed to kind of rival the Oculus Rift 2. and they've set their price point at $1,000 right now.
That's a
But
lot of
there's
money.
speculation it could span anywhere from there to $3,000, and that's slated to come out next year.
Well, that would be a product I would think that. So their target customer is interesting because their target customer is probably absolutely willing to drop that $1,000. Like the more I'm thinking about it, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so you need to get this in front of as many people as possible. But think of all the people who have iPhones that can't afford iPhones. So my knee-jerk reaction when you say $1,000 for something like that is like, wow, $1,000 for something I'm going to use for 6 months. Why would I do that? But that's a product I think people will pay for if they're totally ingrained in that whole scene. Like I know Apple diehards, and they would die on that hill without a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I had the same reaction when I first saw the price point. My stomach dropped, and I thought, no one's going to pay for that.
Yeah, I'm not getting one of these for another year.
Yep. And then I thought, I have a rectangle sitting in front of me that's $1,000. That's Apple. So.
Hey, your phone's $1,200, whether you pay it over the next 2 years or not.
Exactly. So, and the thing with the Apple VR headset is, the Oculus ecosystem is all ingrained in Facebook, and it's owned by Facebook, and they run it. The Apple VR headset is going to be able to pull its games from the Apple Store. So I think its functionality is just going to come down to how many people will develop virtual reality apps and put them on the Apple Store.
I agree with that. So when you say ecosystem, you're talking about like an operating system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then kind of like just the whole suite of products. So like you have people who have, like we were discussing, MacBooks, iPhones, they'll have their iPads. They'll only have Apple.
Soon to be Apple Car.
Yep, exactly. They have everything.
Which I don't think that's ever going to happen.
An Apple Car.
Yeah, actually, I have to take that back. One of my big taglines on all my shows I do is that I don't use the words always and never. Like, you can't use those words because if you do, it inevitably will come true or false, depending on which one you said. I don't want to say that Apple will never have a car on the road. I just, have you seen the tests?
I have not.
They're horrible. Like, the darn thing doesn't work. It's terrible. And you've had 10, 12 years to do this. Elon Musk has done much harder things in much shorter periods of time, and he's got some kind of mental thing. I can't remember what he said on Saturday Night Live, but Asperger's, right? Like he has a detriment, and he's still beating all of us. So
Yeah, he's one of a kind. I love Teslas personally. I have a small 2009 Kia right now with over 200,000 miles, and my goal is to make that last until the day I can afford a Tesla.
I love that. That you don't have to go from 1 to 10. Like there's stepping stones in between, but I appreciate the shooting high. Have you driven any of the Tesla models?
I have not yet. I really, really want to. It's definitely a goal of mine.
So the biggest takeaways I always have is that Tesla in itself is it's such an attractive company because it's so controversial. And I don't know if controversial is the word, but like when you think Tesla, you're like, everyone thinks about Tesla. It's what everyone wants to talk about. You get in one of the cars, they're the most dumbed down, like a monkey could jump in a Tesla and would have no problem doing it. It is quite literally a screen, a steering wheel. That's it. That's your car. Like it's so great. And the best part about Tesla, the people, okay, I'm going off on a tangent here real quick. The argument that people always have with me, I think I do this twice a week, where someone's like, this is just proof that electric cars are not the future, blah, 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 gas is not dying. I'm like, well, but okay, you've forgotten the point here. The point is that movement in any direction is better than standing still. So while these products might not be perfect, they're movement. Like it's competition. They're driving the story forward instead of sitting still in the diesel age of the 1800s. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think about this all the time. There's some things we do in our society, or even just everyday activities that haven't changed since the 1800s, like you just mentioned. And it's almost strange that we're 220 years later and we have FaceTime and laptops and virtual reality, but we're still doing some things the same way people did it way back 200 years ago. And you would think that there'd be some type of progress or movement in a different direction. Like we just discussed with the electric vehicles, I honestly think within the next 10 years, we will see more electric vehicles on the road than gas-powered vehicles.
Gosh, so the whole gas shortage thing, I know you're further up in the Northeast, so it probably didn't affect you as much, but the entire Southeast went nuts whenever we had our gas shortage the other week, but it was the dark side, which is, again, the coolest name for an evil organization ever. It's like, and I hate to promote them because they're scumbags, and I know they put out their whole thing about how they feel bad about what they do. What are your scumbags? So either way, whenever they got rid of the pipeline, everyone in the Southeast went nuts, and this was like a come to Jesus moment for me because I'm like, oh man, maybe I should figure out what's going on here. And then I looked and I was like, wait a minute, Jacksonville's not served by a pipeline. We have 3 ports and airports everywhere. Like we don't get our gas from a pipeline. We get it from ports. I was like, but nobody cared. Everyone just automatically went to the crazy.
Yep, everyone just panics, and then all of a sudden you see videos popping up of someone down at the gas station filling up their garbage can with gasoline, and
which
they
gas melts plastic.
Gasoline from the garbage can into their car yet.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's all crazy. So what do you? Well, that brings us to another good point, and I know we're running a little long, so we got probably 5 more minutes on the topic of ransomware, which is something that it's one of those buzzwords, which it's probably dead now, but it was a buzzword for like a good week and a half after that event happened. Then the FBI came out and said, if you report things to us, we can do everything better. Like we want to be your cybersecurity. And automatically, I'm over here on the libertarian side. We're like, we really don't want the FBI involved in our stuff, right? But so, what do you think about that? How do we protect against that in a more connected world?
Man, I don't even know. I think just what it comes down to is better cybersecurity, almost. In better.
Don't click on emails.
Exactly. It's something as simple as that. And I think people underestimate, or you may think that the security, of our internet here in America is fantastic. But really, when it comes down to it, we have a fragile system. And I mean, there's been instances of, I know there's a good documentary about it on Hulu, of a 14-year-old boy who literally hacked into, I forget if it was the CIA or the FBI.
Good for him.
But he hacked into it like it was nothing. And he was hacking into all these people's Twitter accounts, like stars, famous people like Drake and on their level, and using their accounts to scam people out of money. And I mean, when it comes down to it, anyone who sits down and takes the time to learn the technology can easily, I think, hack into almost anything. So what it comes down to is really just better security, and more money needs to put towards research and development of the security you have in place. And I've heard of companies actually hiring hackers and paying them to try to hack into their system.
The white hats, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
To see, where the downfalls are, and then they can work with the hackers to, build up their security. So,
it's a wild
but I really don't know if there is an answer to how to prevent against this in the future, because as technology gets better, people also get smarter, and it's definitely going to be an issue over the next 10 years.
I mean, I relate to that, and like, it's the whole mosquito thing, is that we keep coming up with all these ways to get rid of and kill mosquitoes. The mosquitoes just evolve and get better at it, right? It's like the same concept. So I guess we should break down real quick. For anyone that didn't know, a white hat hacker and white hat and black hat are the two. Black hat is the hackers, like the dark side assholes that hack things purely just to make money and ruin everyone's day. And the white hats are the people that try to break things down so that they can rebuild them. And those are terms that I just happened upon at some point. So I had to share that because there's definitely going to be plenty of people that don't understand it. And I had a really good thought. Oh, are you a blockchain guy?
I do have it. I do have a blockchain, but I do not use it as much anymore. The only reason I ever got into it was for Roulette and different online casinos where you can gamble with cryptocurrencies.
Of course.
And after losing some money in there, I decided that it would be healthy if I did not use it anymore.
Well, the best part about that is that you realize to walk away from it. Most people don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I probably dabbled in that for a week and then thought to myself, what am I doing?
Gosh.
And stopped.
Well, most people get hooked. So I know that pretty much everyone I talk to, whenever I talk about like Robinhood, the gamification of investing is a topic that I touch on quite a bit, because it's really interesting how basically they found a way to rewire our brains to say, and this is a direct quote from a good friend of mine that I think you may know. He said, John, I don't really know and I don't really care. I watch the little green line go up and it makes me happy. It's like, that's horrible. And I said, well, what about when it dings when you sell something? He said, oh, I love the ding too. It's like, this is bad. This is so bad. Either way, the blockchain's interesting because, on the topic of cybersecurity, that is something that a new invention or like a new use for it comes out every single month. And I'm excited to see what we can do about that.
Yeah, it's definitely not a topic I'm very well read up on or knowledgeable of, but it, it would be interesting to dig more into it. Besides just using it to house my cryptocurrency that I put into online casinos. So
right. What's the important things, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
That's what I think. I had a bunch of Ethereum, but that was about it.
But either way, so we covered a couple really good topics, I think, and we're at the 15-minute mark, so I'll cut it. But this was terrific. So I want to do Tech Tuesday every week if you're cool with that, and obviously we can have some regularly scheduled breaks, but I think this sort of thing's great, and you're more involved in this world than I am, so I really appreciate you being here. And I guess see everybody next week.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm excited to keep doing this moving forward, and I can't wait to talk with you more.
You got it, dude. All right, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Whenever you're watching this, you understand it, and I'll see you soon.